back from center stage. So good to have you with us here in the Cisco TV broadcast studio. We just heard all about AI for everybody. How is Cisco building that bridge between innovation and inclusion? The ways that we have to unlock better technical innovation through inclusive leadership, how we can define more resilient teams, strengthen our innovation through more diverse perspectives, all the different ways that we can prepare for emerging tech and the upcoming generation of talent. Such a great job, Rebecca. We're going to hear more from her in just a couple of minutes. Please keep reaching out to us on social media. Use hashtag Cisco Live EMEA and at Cisco Live EMEA. We want to hear from all of you. You know, this morning during the keynote, we heard all these great major announcements across infrastructure, including wireless access points and cloud-managed switch and Meraki smart cameras. We got announcements in security, including Meraki organization-wide firewall policies. We heard platform announcements, assurance announcements, including Thousand Eyes, traffic insights. WebEx announcements too, right? The employee experience, more engagement, more sustainability for every workplace, every work style. Everywhere we go during this broadcast, across the WAS, in all of our interviews, our center stage sessions, we'll keep hearing more and more about all of these great announcements and how they impact you, your organization, your structure, your people, the way that you serve your customer each and every day. So right now, Alpa Tankaria is here in the Cisco TV studio, right across the way. She is with Sarah Walker. I'm going to send it right across to the other side of the studio. Let the two of you have a nice talk, my friend.
Thank you so much, Steve. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined here today by Sarah Walker, our Vice President of UK and Ireland, and our Women of Cisco UK and Ireland sponsor. Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
Warm welcome to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. And how are you? How's your day been so far?
It's been fantastic, chaotic, busy, lots of steps, but you know, this is my favourite event of the year, so as always, it's been a great start.
Amazing, and so many people, and people are so important, and that's why we're here today to talk about an inclusive future for all. So, Sarah, I have a few questions that I wanted to ask you. So, how do you see Cisco's commitment to powering an inclusive future for all, especially influencing our tech industry and beyond?
Yeah. So the first thing I would say is we talk about that as our purpose on a global scale, but the way it really, really makes a difference is how we bring that to life locally. And that's the bit that when I first joined Cisco, I was just so impressed with, you know, purpose being something that we live, we breathe, we feel, and that everybody genuinely wants to play, you know, their part in delivering. And I think when we think about how that then has an impact on the wider tech sector and beyond, I think it's that leading through example of why that purpose is so important. I did a keynote at a partner event last week, and we talked about bringing the power and the privilege of our industry into the communities that we're part of and deeper into society. And you see people really, you know, anchoring onto that as something more meaningful than not just what we make, but what we make happen. I think some of the initiatives that I've seen us running across the UK and Ireland and how we get closer into, say, kind of communities that we wouldn't ordinarily reach through technology industry, what we do with STEM, what we do with pathways in schools, NetAcad. There's so much that we bring to life on a daily basis that really is, you know, leading by example, and I think encouraging our industry to follow suit, which is wonderful to see. And of course, our inclusive communities, which you know I'm very passionate about, Women of Cisco. But again, you know, the amount of inclusive communities that we have, the way we encourage not just the diversity that we have across those communities, but also the intersectionality in how we get people working together to understand is, you know, foster that kind of spirit of diversity is really important.
Yeah, so brilliant. I mean, you've touched upon STEM and you've touched upon Women of Cisco. So could you perhaps give me a few examples of the type of initiatives that we have at Women of Cisco that really support our inclusive culture?
Yeah. Where do we start?
So many, right?
So I think some of the things that I've been really impressed with, and again, they're kind of under the banner of Women of Cisco, but you see so many different parts of our organisation getting involved with this. Things like Girls in IT is just an absolutely phenomenal outreach. And I think we had record-breaking numbers through the programme this year. The work that we do through Catherine Badley's team, when we're looking at the work experience, the T-level programs that we've launched just a couple of weeks ago, and how much we really, really push the boundaries there actually in terms of us supporting a cohort with disabilities and with severe neurodiversity. That's a first for us, and we're continually, you know, pushing the boundaries to make tech more accessible to people and more interesting to people as well. I think pathways is a really important thing for me, and we've just obviously celebrated 10 years this year. But again, going into schools and actually making STEM interesting and exciting and reaching demographics, again, that we wouldn't ordinarily reach through Pathways program is amazing. And I've done a few of those. I've been into schools, and the creativity that you have in amongst children is so inspiring, but they're children that through normal academic systems might not have that spark that we create for them through things like Pathways.
And it's uncovering a new world for them, right?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I don't know a lot of, for many of you, but certainly when I was at school, I didn't, I guess, realize the potential that you can have, with a career in tech and in IT.
Absolutely.
So we're really opening doors, with this work. And
when we walk through the door, we don't look like engineers,
No.
we don't look like technical, and that's the first thing, is like, wow,
Yes.
work in tech, really? And it just opens up new conversations, and particularly for young females, that I think the representation and the role models that we have, that we take out, is so important.
So important, as well as the empowerment as well. So we have also, in celebration of International Women's Day, we have our Women of Impact event in the UK as well, which I know that you're a big sponsor of.
Absolutely. And I think the way that we work across industry on that, so I know a number of our partners really enjoy joining us at that event and learning from us on the initiatives, and we have that kind of domino effect, because we're then out with our partners and our customers doing the same. So
amazing.
Lots of tiny acorns.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sarah, for all of your insights. It's been an incredible chat with you, and so excited for what more we can do to power an inclusive community and culture together. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. And Steve, I'm going to head over back to you now.
Alpa, thank you so much, my friend. Really just great content, Sarah. Thank you for being here in the studio with us. Acorns, right? Always planting those acorns. Right now, we're going to go back into center stage, where Cedric is hanging out with the woman of the hour, Rebecca Stone, to do a little deeper dive and a little exclusive behind-the-scenes conversation. Cedric, how you doing out there?
I'm good, and she's indeed the woman of the hour, to be honest. I can say that, right, Rebecca? Right.
Absolutely can.
I'm so excited to be with Rebecca Stone, our SVP of Revenue Marketing here at Cisco. I was able to grab her just when she came off stage, and she talked about, she had a really interesting talk about bridging innovation and inclusive pathways. But first, Rebecca, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad, thank you. How have you been enjoying Cisco Live so far?
Every Cisco Live is great, but particularly Cisco Live EMEA. It was snowing yesterday. You got to enjoy that. So, it's been a great show so far. Thanks for asking.
Awesome, great. Well, I'm so glad to hear that. So you just came off the stage behind us. As I said, you talked about innovation, inclusive pathways, and the bridge in between that. What are some of the key takeaways that you want our audience at home to basically take away from this session?
Yeah, great question. I think some of the key things that I think are most important from this session was how we have to think by design about how AI includes diversity. We talked about diversity in the data sets and making sure that we are double checking that. We talked about diversity in our hiring practices to ensure that we have teams that are actually building diverse thought into the planning. And the last thing is actually the outcomes and getting feedback from a diverse set of audiences in order to ensure that the data, the people, and the outcomes are all diverse by design.
So let's say I'm a leader, right? And I want to do everything, all of the above,
yeah,
as I would say, right? How can I start there? What can I do as a leader to get this started?
Yeah, I think one of the key things that we heard from our panelists about was really the idea of designing teams and thinking about the hiring practice of teams in order to take the first step. So whether that be in a hiring practice, in an interview practice, even we talked about looking at CVs and understanding that even if the skill set isn't quite right on the CV, maybe it makes sense to bring in some of those people just to get that diversity built in.
And I think that at Cisco, we truly believe in that diversity. We believe that it kind of creates innovation, it creates everything.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts on that in terms of, everything is changing with AI, everything is moving forward so fast.
Yeah.
How can we stay up to date? How do we make sure that, that inclusivity like is a topic that we don't forget about?
Yeah, I think one of the great things that I really enjoy about the conversation that we just had is that you can use AI to actually build diversity in. So we had somebody who has a learning disability that we talked about on the panel, and they're using AI to actually help with their writing because they have a writing disability that makes it hard for them. And the AI is actually solving that problem. There's lots of ways that we can help and introduce the new technologies into our processes in order to ensure that the outcomes are actually even better than what we thought that they could be.
Can you give me a little bit of an example of within Cisco as well? I thought it was really great to hear that diversity example, but like, what are we doing at Cisco?
Yeah, from a Cisco specific perspective, for marketing at least, we have a number of ways that we're introducing AI into our data sets in order to get our better outcomes from a content perspective, in order to target customers. We had Jason from Thousand Eyes on stage who is building AI into the Thousand Eyes models in order to drive better outcomes from a networking perspective. So there are a number of ways
There's
that
a
we
lot
can
at Cisco
use our
right now.
tools. There
Okay,
are.
cool.
There are.
Great. Thank you, Rebecca. I can hear my producer already yelling at me that we have to go back to the studio, but I want to thank Rebecca so much for taking the time. It was so good to see you.